Ooh, we are live from LinkedIn. It's Revening's Whiskey Wednesday. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, Revenue Party people. There are so many hot topics, and I can't wait to get into them with our guests. But first, let me hand it off to my partner and co-host, Eddie, for intros. Eddie, take it away.
How's everybody doing tonight? So we have two very accomplished sales professionals with us today, Jake and Yusuf. I'm going to start with Jake. So Jake, very accomplished. He also is a AE account executive, of course, for Zoom Info. And we have Yusuf with us, who is two things actually. And I was asking him which one he wanted. He said both. So I'm going to go ahead and just jam it out. He is the regional sales manager for Pointer. He also works with Ricky Pearl, for some of you that know Ricky. Very talented individual on LinkedIn. And also he's the head of growth for Revenue Dynamics. So we're going to welcome them both tonight. I'm going to give a little clap if you want to do the same thing as me. Hand it back off to Jessie so she can get into hot topics.
Awesome. Tonight's LinkedIn hot topics include the Hype Cycle post-game 11 discussion. Glad to be here with Jake to talk about it. We're also going to get into marketing budget trends. There's a lot of scare with the recession, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions about what could be cut. Relationship-led growth. This was actually inspired by Yusuf, so I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. And then shift in buying habits. Also, we're going to move into talking about new quarter, new mindset. And of course, you guys know what I'm about to say. The guru of the week. Guru of the week. Oh, who do you think Yusuf and Jake chose? You will just have to wait to find out. But I guess with that, we can just move on to our first topic. What do you think, Eddie?
How about that PSA? We can just jump into a quick.
Please.
How dare you? Okay. So for everybody that's watching, just please be aware we do this every single week. Yes, the name is Whiskey Wednesday, but we do not promote the use of alcohol on any level. You can choose to drink whatever it is that you like. It could be alcoholic. It could be juice. It could be water. It could be tea or coffee. We don't mind. If you do use alcohol, please in moderation and do not drink and drive. Jessie, back to you.
Way to go, Eddie. Thank you so much for that important message there. Which, speaking of, my husband made me a really good drink. It's a whiskey sour. Don't know if anyone's ever had one. What are y'all drinking tonight?
Fizzy water.
Some Ribena.
I like his drink.
I was so indecisive. I got alcohol. I got water. I don't know. I wanted to come prepared.
Exactly. You never know what could happen. I mean, we could be sitting here for a long time.
Jake, hold on. No, how does it? Here, just.
Oh, right. Yeah. It'll be over there.
How about we try to do the whole like
Jesse?
Yeah, like why don't we just try to do the whole thing like shwabang?
Yeah, there you go.
Together. There we go. First time we do that. You know that's gonna be a good show.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
So
gotta be a recurring thing.
For everybody that's watching, you must know these two above me and to the left this way, Jake, competed together in Hype Cycle. So we want to go into it. I mean, a lot of people had the opportunity to watch this, hopefully some that are watching tonight. And I want you both to touch on this, but I do want to start, of course, with our guest, Jake. So Jake, just kind of walk us through, tell us, how the experience was. Tell us about the judges, tell us about some of the topics, how you felt going into it, what were some of the things you did to prepare, just the overall overview, call it.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. Like, I think it was a good way to kind of get out of my comfort zone, right? Because all I've done is sales. Like, I've done sales my whole life, and I'm trying to learn marketing. I'm trying, and so there's, all the different challenges and topics that we had. They were all kind of challenging me on stuff that like I'm not normally doing, right? Like, I was kind of showing up, and I thought it was going to be all about like cold calling scripts, right? And like overcoming objections and all that. And I was like, yeah, I can do that in spades. But then they were like, I had to make a script for like a chat bot on a website that's like popping up. And so I had to kind of put myself in the customer's shoes and be like, well, I've never written this type of copy, or like, how would I like to be engaged with, if I went on a website? So, it was cool to just kind of like look at things from a different perspective. I mean, I just felt like it was all kind of, yeah.
I feel you on that one, man. I was just talking to Jesse in the last 2 days about us creating some of these notification emails for Whiskey Wednesday for the invites. I mean, look, I'm okay with copy. I'm just saying, but I always go to her for anything. And when she tells me these are money, I'm like,
Yeah,
I did my
exactly.
job.
Exactly.
Like, I'm a marketer now. This is
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Eddie comes up with some great stuff.
I'm average. I'm average. Jessie completely, demolishes when it comes to that. So I look to her, this is her jam, and she's also great in sales. By the way, for those who don't know, and we've said this once before, Jessie was in sales before she was in marketing. So this is why this synergy and this call is so great, because I have a little bit of marketing experience. She has a lot. She has a lot of sales and marketing experience. So I mean, she just, completely crushes me. But anyways, I always give her high praises.
Well,
So,
thanks for that.
but
Appreciate it.
so Yusuf, quick question. Did you have the opportunity to watch Hype Cycle with both of them?
Actually, so you all are gonna have to fill me in.
You did it before, didn't you, Yusuf?
No,
Oh,
I've only spectated.
Okay.
What do you think of the hype cycles? As far as let me rephrase that. What do you think about the concept of taking people that are in one specific craft and then bridging them over to another and having them compete? I've always found it fascinating, but I want to get someone else's opinion, maybe a little more in depth kind of thing.
I mean, I'm full of opinions on it. I think it was awesome. I had an excellent experience. Like it really challenges you to kind of think about the other side. Jake was a fierce competitor. Clearly, he's an account executive at ZoomInfo, like the best of the best. So, yeah, I mean, it was just an opportunity that I don't normally get in my everyday experience to be around people and other businesses that are at, different points, in the startup level on up to like IPO companies. So, it was just, it was good because and I think that everybody should do it. I think it's a good exercise that like, it'd be interesting for even some companies to do it as like a team building experience. Like you spend a day in my shoes, I'll spend a day in yours, but
That's a great idea, actually. For those who are listening, if you're in a leadership position, take notes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no. I like what you're saying because it's all about like business acumen. I feel like I'm thinking about the finals where we had to essentially like build a go-to-market strategy for that company, right? And it's one of those things where like when I was talking and when the judge was going through it and when you were talking and all that stuff, it just kind of made me think like I'm seeing like a small part of the business, but there's so much more that I don't know in customer success and marketing and research and all this stuff. So like having to really like sit back and like plan a strategy for all of that was like one challenging, but it was also like I got stuff to learn. You know what I mean? I'm like in my own little silo over here, and it's no, it was just a good like learning experience.
Absolutely.
Thank you for using the word silo, which is why we're here.
I had to.
I know you did. I know you did.
That's why Revenue exists. We're gonna break down silos.
So I love you so much, Jake. But seriously, this is why this exists, because we want to show, and this is why I like the concept of hype cycle, right? And this is why we bring on brilliant people like yourselves so that we can talk to you and you can give us insight on what you're doing and give others the insight that are listening so they can see, first and foremost, the experience aspect. And then second, find out the pains and solutions. And this is why we love this show so much. So going into that though, anything else that you want to cover?
Natalie's question real quick, Eddie, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, I want to hear that one.
Yeah, so she's asking, which role do I like more? And I guess full disclosure, I never really did outbound sales. So when I was in sales, SaaS sales, it was all inbound. And so of course we were generating revenue. So I would get sales titles, and, got some experience there, but I was never doing those outbound motions. So like with Hype Cycle, that cold calling, I've done political cold calling, but that was different back in my political days. Yes and no, like you got to talk fast. Like what I learned in political cold calling that I used, I guess, is like smile while you talk, use your hands, like be animated, which I always felt was like, I kind of use from my theater background, you want to act and like also talk fast and make sure that people aren't going to like, I don't know, but not too fast, but anyway, yeah. So, which do I like more? I guess I like them both more, and it just really depends. I like being creative. So at the end of the day, um, I like seeing creativity and content bringing people in who are educated, who have, a smaller age on their deal cycles than say something that's happening from outbound effort. But I do think that they're all valuable. I'm not going to sit here and say that like we don't need sales, because we do need sales. And by that, I mean outbound efforts. I do think that especially some companies don't, and they'll be fine without it. But many of them do still need it. And I think there's a lot of value there. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Natalie.
Woo. Do like the idea. All right. So any other points that we want to touch on for Hype Cycle, or should we move on? Anybody?
I think we can move on.
Let's do it. So I think it's marketing budget, the next one.
All right. Yeah, we've got all these salespeople here with me. And so I'm going to leave this marketing budget topic that sort of came up on LinkedIn, of course, as we're seeing there's a lot of talk about the recession. And according to marketingtech.net, as central banks around the globe ramp up interest rates in a bid to curb inflation, many businesses fear the recession. Or a recession, it's debatable. And it is clear that many have learned or have not learned from the past and will cut sales and marketing budgets. So, those are the headlines findings from the latest International Business Barometer report from Sapio Research. So I'm not just pulling this from anywhere, but it was titled Wave 6, Preparing for a Recession. The report shows that some 95% of businesses around the globe are concerned about a potential recession. So those concerns, however, are not equally spread. So in the US, 45% of businesses are highly concerned about a recession, compared to Germany, where only 11% are compared with a recession. So just over a fifth of businesses, that's 22%, globally, meanwhile, are already being affected by the current economic uncertainty.
Jeez,
so again, these effects are not equally spread. So Japan and the US are faring worse, with 28% of businesses in those countries already feeling the pinch. So like lots going on. And, there's a good quote that I'll pull from Jane Hales. She's the managing partner at Sapio Research. So she said, quote, globally, social media and paid social media are significantly more valued marketing channels for driving retention and driving growth than advertising, particularly in the US. So the UK is the only country that really values those two channels equally. So at least some business leaders are, viewing this as an opportunity. In the US, for example, like some 37% of them plan to use it as a time to increase their budgets and, have more captive audiences and increase their marketing spend. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But of course, there's always a lot of panic. And with that panic and the cuts, we in sales and marketing, typically marketing first is to go. And then you'll see sales being cut. So of course, there's a little anxiety that we start to see on LinkedIn, especially after we've seen a lot of these mass layoffs at some scales. So, in terms of marketing budget, I pulled these 10 topic ways to optimize your marketing budget. So I thought I'd mention these briefly to get your guys' opinion on them, especially as salespeople, anyone else in the comments. But 10 suggestions, and this comes from interruptmedia.com. 10 ways to optimize your marketing budget. 1, focus your marketing efforts on your customers' needs. So, even newbies, we all know that it's cheaper to retain your customers, right, than to go gain and lose them, or, gain them and never retain them. So focus your marketing efforts on your customers and retention. That's one suggestion right now in terms of tightening up your budget. The other thing is pivot to digital marketing. As I was mentioning earlier, lower age, so you'll close them faster. The age is not as high on those deals as you'll have with outbound efforts. And, I know that one can be up for debate. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on pivoting to the digital marketing side. But also a big one is use data to make your decisions. I think we can all go in circles about that. But also improve your marketing operations. That's a big one. We're hearing a lot about MarOps right now. Using templates as much as possible, whether it's a landing page template or like an email template for your sales sequence, right? Like use templates, save yourself time. Time is money. So you want your people to be efficient. So you want to provide them with templates and repurpose content, reduce, reuse, recycle. I was just talking to somebody about this, about like using your Shield app to go find LinkedIn posts that have performed well and then recycle them, repurpose them.
Absolutely.
You don't always have to create new content. So again, finding ways to save time. Your time is money. Another way is to stay engaged with nurture campaigns. So, thinking about retention, thinking about nurture, those are something that you're going to want to start really thinking about. And improving project management. I know our friend Amir might like this one, but there's a reason why companies hire efficiency experts. But better efficiency means using fewer resources while producing a greater return. So, tools like Asana, I'm sure that everybody could like name off their favorites in the comments, that will help you improve your efficiency. Like this, now's the time to think about investing in that. And of course, like outsourcing. Don't be afraid to outsource certain tasks. You don't have to train everybody internally. There are certain things you can hand off. But with all of that, what would you all say about marketing budgets at this time and just the recession and the fear and all the cutting happening?
We have a volunteer. Yusuf, what do you think?
I guess my take would be, Sarah has a question.
How much of a typical marketing budget? So I'll read it out. How much of a typical marketing budget is external versus internal people? Do you see an opportunity to shift to more organic channels using internal resources to save external marketing costs? I mean, yeah, I see it. Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
And just depending on the type of budget, like, if you're running massive TV advertisements, of course, it's going to be cheaper to run those advertisements, say on Instagram or, other digital channels. So I think even just like shifting around your advertising strategy based on like what your budget is. But yeah, there's absolutely an opportunity to, and you should be doing this anyway. I've already started doing it myself. Is like, pulling more out of ad campaigns and into content. And that's for dark social, because that's really where it's at right now in terms of like building trust. So like, I think whether there was a recession or not, that's, not a bad approach to think about right now anyway.
I mean, it's the cheapest customer acquisition cost you can get, right? I mean, you're not paying for anything. So it's, like you said,
100.
whether it's a recession or not, it's free money, So like if their CEO or, other people at the company are not going on and creating that dark social content, like if you're not doing it now, you definitely need to, because now's the squeeze on.
It almost feels like they're behind if they're not.
No, that's my point. That's my point.
Feels weird when you look at it from that. And especially like, for example, right now with Whiskey Wednesday, right? Like this is the first, like think about like as an installment to what's coming next with what me and Jesse are looking to build with Reviting, right? With Reviting, we have an idea what we want it to be, and we're slowly building in the background. But the beautiful thing is when you have this medium that's in front of you to be able to bring awareness, let's say to Reviting, right? That's free. You don't have to pay for anything.
Yep.
And we see it daily when people are using it with things like LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook and all the other socials out there, dark socials. It doesn't cost a penny other than your time. Now, it depends on how much your time is and how you're evaluating it, granted. But at the end of the day, you also have to measure the return of that investment on the time and effort you're putting into the platform, right? And as you build, right, that this is what really matters. When you build it, they will come. Build it properly, obviously, but the idea is build, right? That's why I talked about in the past, like build in public. It's the smartest thing you could do in today's age, especially with these personal brands that we're seeing getting elevated daily, right?
Absolutely. So like when it comes, like, so I hear a lot of talk among salespeople and they'll be like, annoyed by like branding ads, or just like, a high return or a low return on ad spend. So like, where do your guys' heads go to like, hey, cut your ad budget and focus on organic, because of those reasons, or like what makes you think that?
I don't. I mean, I personally don't. Like I guess this is the thing I've been thinking about, and I'm in an interesting situation because like with my job, I do maybe 3 or 4 demos a day with like small business owners, right? So like we're talking about this stuff all the time, and like it's a recession, it's scary, everyone's like trying to make sure that they stay afloat and all that stuff. And like the conversation that we keep on having is like, well, waiting and doing nothing is not really a plan,
Right.
Ooh,
you
I like
know?
that.
So like you can cut budget for salespeople and for marketing budget and for sales tools, and like you can cut budget for all that stuff if it makes you feel better. But then I guess my follow-up question is, what's your growth plan then? Is your growth plan to just wait until there's no economic downturn or COVID virus or inflation? Like this whole the past couple of years have all been a constant like crisis and all this
Yeah.
stuff. So that's kind of my question is, if you want to cut it, what's the plan?
Oh, exactly. You're exactly on point. Like companies that cut their marketing budget due to the recession, like is it a recession yet? I don't know. They only make it harder to retain their customers. And also like marketing and sales brings in and fills your pipeline. So what are you going to do then?
Yeah, it's a profit center. I mean, at the like marketing is an investment, like if we were talking about cutting, I don't know, like a cost center somewhere, like cutting your accounting budget and going and outsourcing that, 100%, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Do it for accounting, like no problem. But for sales and marketing, like that's the engine that's driving your business. So
Agreed.
yeah, it doesn't make as much sense to me.
So to give a little bit of context as to, especially in the SaaS space, call it, and I mean, for anybody in the comments, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I speak to a lot of people about this, and I want to give everybody a little bit of context about why certain things like this can take place. Think about it as when you have a lot of these series A's and B's and C's that take place with some of these big companies, right? There's a lot of money that are being thrown at these organizations. Now, with money comes expectations.
Mhm.
Expectations is revenue. So you have to hire and ramp so that you can acquire revenue through, of course, all these different forms of sales and marketing outreach. Now, what ends up happening is if you have exponential growth and you're not growing geometrically, there will come a time where you've ramped so fast, you spend so much money, right? And you're trying to attain these expectations that these VCs or these investors have. And when fear of a recession comes, immediately, the first thing you want to do is just consolidate. You think, okay, well, we've ramped and put 100 reps in one territory. We don't necessarily need 100 reps within one territory. We can consolidate down to, let's say, 25. So the idea is, what do we need to cut that could be cut? And in essence, and this is shitty to say, but the reality of the matter is, and it will always be this way, it will always start with marketing and sales. Because although it is the engine, like you're saying, Jake, and I'm 1,000,000% with you, we look at it from the bodies that could be gone. That is technically the bodies that could. And it's not necessarily the fault of the bodies. It's the fault of those who are hiring the bodies, because they're not right, because they're under pressure from the investments group to do so. Right. And all they think about is we're just going to grow 400 or 500% a year. And that's cool. It's great. On paper, it looks fantastic. But you also have to anticipate the consequence of that. And this is what I'm not seeing. Right. I'm not seeing that anticipation of consequence. It's just everybody's worried about making money for those who want you to make money, which is cool. It's cool. But think of the people that are driving that revenue, right? Be mindful when you're hiring. Be more geometrical. Stop thinking so exponential. That's my spiel.
Dude, I totally agree with you. Because yeah, I mean, they hire to the point where it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
You have to hit those. Like you go, yeah, I have to get to 100 million. Each rep has $1 million quota, so we got to go hire 100 reps. And I feel like that's the whole thought.
Oh,
You froze on us for a second.
Oh,
but it's a great point. I mean, like, don't you think that they hire these people knowing that there's a good chance they're just going to have to fire them anyway?
Well, there's also the other side of
that the companies that you're interviewing with.
True, and there's the other side of that psychology is that I spoke to a leader once, and he kind of enlightened me on this about how when the time comes to consolidate, there's this notion in leadership that they can maintain the same amount of revenue that's coming in if they were to, let's say, take 5 reps and turn it into 1. But the reality is that'll never happen, because one may not be able to service the amount that the 5 had. And that's just, you have to be realistic about this, right? You may be able to absorb 20, 30% of the totality of the 5, but there is no way you're absorbing 100. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So these are some of the troubling things that happen. And then they wonder why there's a regression in revenue. Well, of course, I'm not going to say wonder. Then you start hearing a little bit of the rumbles of regression in revenue. Well, of course, it's inevitable. It's inexorable. And these things are bound to happen. So like Jake was saying, if you feed the engine will keep working. And you're right about that. And I believe in it myself, is that you do have to feed the engine for it to continuously keep moving forward. But fear, when it sets in, it's hard to disband of it. It's very hard to discard it.
Great points. Should we move on to the next topic?
Absolutely.
All right. So marketing budget trends. Next up, we got relationship-led growth. Yusuf, this is all you. I pulled this from our conversation earlier this week and what you were talking about. So if you wouldn't mind, could you fill us all in on relationship-led growth?
RLG, I like it.
Yeah, well, this is something I'm still learning about myself. As we all know, growing is all, well, today it's more of a relationship-based effort, right? I think gone are the days in where you can just approach people and say, here's my tools, here's what I'm doing. My tools can do X, Y, Z for you. Let's do business, right? I think you have to look beyond that. I think you have to look at how can we come together and strategize sorry, losing my train of thought. Strategize over bigger opportunities. So let's take for example communities now. For example, a lot of deals happen in communities, right? Because people love connecting with people. It's just how we're wired, right? And at the end of the day, relationships are the currency of life, right? That's how you move through life. As we were talking before. You have to build, regardless of how amazing you might think you are as a person, or regardless of how amazing you think the technology that you might be using, at the end of the day, people still buy from people, right? So it comes back to your integrity. It comes back to your credibility as a person, right? For people to want to even deal with you in the first place. I don't think anybody's going to want to deal with anyone, regardless of how amazing of a company they might be, if they're just for lack of better words, a terrible human being, right? So, looking at that, I think going forward, I think companies are looking into how they can go after bigger results, right? Like, how can I, like we said, data, how can I use that? How can I use my partner's data, people in our current accounts, right? How can we take that information that's in our CRMs, for example, and how can we capitalize on these deals? I might find a competitor, not a competitor, but I might find an opportunity, right? That I can go after, but I might not have the capabilities on my own team to be able to do that. So let me go ahead and try to utilize someone who's not my direct competitor, but someone I can partner with to go after these deals together, right? So it happens in different multiple contexts. But yeah, sorry, I got kind of off track.
No, God, no. That's beautifully said.
Did you say relationships are the currency of life?
Yes.
Did I catch that?
Quote.
Wow,
that's a good one.
Pretty profound, you
I've
said.
never heard that before.
I haven't either. Just gonna drop that quote.
I kind of want to just write that down.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about it, two or three. I'm like, yeah, it is. You're right.
And when you really think about it, go back to the beginning. How did it all start? It takes two people, right?
Yeah.
Just saying that I'm not talking about it has to be. I'm just saying it takes two people. So in reality, that's a beautiful Yusuf, that was beautifully said.
Yeah, it's all about that.
I lost my train of thought in the beginning. I was paying attention to everyone so hard. Then when I started talking, I started fumbling and slipping over all my words. So
We're here to have fun,
I,
man. We're
I
here to
had
have
a
fun.
I had a mental fart, man. I couldn't I couldn't get the words out.
Honestly, you just saying that little thing, that was more than enough. That was pure crush, man. You killed that. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Tom Slocum says he's framing that. So boom. You've inspired some people, Yusuf. So thanks for that.
I kind of want to put it like in one of my Google Docs and just put it part of like the training. It's so beautiful.
Like, it's kind
Sorry,
of
go
like,
ahead.
I feel like the main sentiment of like what I learned with the Hype Cycle games was really just like, and we all know this, right? It's the basics. Understand the people you're talking to. And so, you know, we were trying to understand the judges because that's who we were talking to. And, you know, like really like actually like care about like what they're going through and empathize with them and try to put yourself in their shoes, whether you're trying to sell them or, you know, you're just trying to enrich your life with further relationships, because building your social network or your social capital, it can have serious value in your and it can lead to financial capital. So, you know, I think that's a really profound quote. So thanks for that, Yusuf. Is there anything anyone else wants to add on relationship-led growth? Is this something you coined, Yusuf, or did you pull this from somewhere? Like, where did this come from?
I'm not gonna even take credit for that. No, this is something that actually something that Crossbeam is actually doing, or they've been doing actually with other companies going after big deals on the enterprise level. Now, this is something that probably could even be done on a smaller level, right? You know, when you're a smaller company, you might only have a few people on your team, but let's say you want to go after larger deal sizes, right? Like how can I start building and expanding on my partner network and, you know, partner up with companies who might not be my direct competitors, but they might be companies and where they might offer something that we don't. Their domain expertise might be in something that we don't have. And then from that, you know, you can go after those larger deal sizes or those, you know, bigger attack those bigger strategies, you know.
It's a very good point. What you're making me think about is like every good salesperson has like a network of like other salespeople that they can say, you know, like someone comes into me, maybe they're not a good fit for ZoomInfo, but hey, I know a guy at HubSpot, I know a guy at AT&T, you know, I know a girl at ADP, right? So it's one of those things where like if you can keep building those relationships, like you're sending the referrals out, you're getting the referrals in, and you're just kind of taking that and applying it to business. And yeah, why not? It's the same thing.
Absolutely. You know,
Yeah,
aligning those priorities, you know.
Yeah, I love it.
Finding where they can fall in the middle.
Yeah, win-win.
It's kind of cool that you say that, actually. So, Jake, there's a gentleman named Rod Batista.
Yeah, he just joined my team.
So he's actually going to be on our show. And
no, he told me he's coming on
because
next week.
of you. So it's funny how we're talking about that, right? And it's just he's like, oh, because of Jake. So Jake is he's the first person to ever use our new link that we just created for our guests. And I sent it over to him, and I'm like, literally within minutes, he was in. And I was kind of dumbfounded and very excited because he mentioned you. And actually, I mentioned you first, and he said, that's how I found you. And I'm like, this is great. We're just building these relationships.
Absolutely.
But I don't have much to touch on it. I just, there's just one little quick story, but I wanted to kind of go back to what Yusuf was saying. So before I came into SaaS, it was very much relationship driven. And about 6 years ago or so, I started working with a client that was quite small, and they ended up getting bigger and bigger year over year, like quite bigger over year. And they stuck with me along the entire way because I started when they were small and I gave them the best service, and I didn't care how much money they were making, although we work with a variety of sizes. And it just goes to show that people stick with people that stick with them, right? Like I was there when they were nothing, and then when they became something, they remembered along the way there were certain individuals that supported their business. So same concept here, especially in SaaS. If you work business to business in SaaS, You can go and start a conversation with somebody who's a founder or a startup, and literally overnight, that startup may end up getting funded.
Yep.
And then you're talking about massive growth. Then from that point, they're going to come back to the person who supported them in the beginning and say, hey, guess what? We just got funded, et cetera, et cetera. We may need like 100 licenses for something. All because you were able to establish a relationship from the beginning. So just something to think about.
And relationship-led growth, that's interesting too, considering you can build trust with people and not even know it by being active on LinkedIn. How about them apples?
Yeah.
Them bananas.
That is bananas.
It is bananas.
I mean,
It is.
honestly, speaking of marketing budget, like get your existing team active on LinkedIn if you're a B2B company. And
I say this shit all the time. Why don't for whoever's listening here, if you're a leader, this is something to think about. Or if you're a team member, something to speak about to your team is why not have symmetry when it comes to, let's say, the profiles. Like if you're really trying to build a strong brand as a company, and I might get a little bit of backlash on this because personal brands are personal brands and you should be able to do whatever you want with it. But I always go back to the idea, if you're in sales and you're trying to drive sales for yourself because you are commission based, it is smart technically to rep your brand, because in essence, the brand that you're pushing is the brand that's making you commission. So if you are that team and you're going to be pushing that brand collectively, then the name is going to spread. There's going to be more awareness on it, which means there's going to be more inbound. So you can embellish in that inbound.
100% part. Should we transition into that next topic?
Let's do it.
Who wants to lead this one? Shift in buying habits. So this came up from our group discussion. So before Whiskey Wednesday, we always start a group message with our guests and try to, start talking about topics and guru of the week. And from that, I think that's where this one came from. And then I sent you guys this Fran's post today where he was, talking about how Gen Z has now made up like the biggest demographic of consumers now. And so that's interesting. So there really is a shift in buying habits. So of course, my mind goes to the digital transformation. But where do your guys' minds go?
I have a question for both of you, and I think this is going to be good for you to converse over. From the conversations that you had 2 months ago, before some of the scare was happening, what are some of the more recent conversations that you're witnessing or experiencing due to this scare or this recession? How are they looking like in comparison to the ones before?
It's a great question. I think it's all about uncertainty. I mean, that's the thing that I'm hearing, is just that people don't know what's coming, and so they kind of just want to be in a holding pattern. And where we're at, just like economically, is a little bit scary, because it's like we have inflation going out of control, and then to fight that, you have to keep raising the interest rates and all that, which is essentially going to like hurt the stock market and the housing market, and dry up the VC dollars and all that stuff. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I think a lot of people don't know what's going to happen. Like, we don't know if we're going to prepare for more inflation. We don't know if we're going to prepare for a huge like crash and recession. Like, we don't know if it's going to be both. And so a lot of people are just trying to kind of, hold the ship down, it feels like. And those are some of the conversations that I'm having, is just, I don't know what's about to happen. It could go 5 different ways. Who knows?
It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yusuf, what do you think?
Jake spoke on it earlier. I think you have the people who are just holding and kind of waiting to see what happens. And then you have the other group of people who are just driving ahead, right? I think like Jake said earlier, recessions, that it's just something that happens, right? Every so often, they happen, right? And you don't know how long they're going to be for. You don't know what you don't know, right? But at the end of the day, you have the other groups who are just driving forward, right? They're not trying to cut back on their marketing and sales budgets. They're driving ahead when everyone is pulling back. So coming back to that same point of your revenue engine, you're not making money, your business is not going to survive, right? It's just plain and simple. You can hold out and and pray for a better time. But the ones who are still driving ahead while everyone else is pulling back, at the end of the day, those are the ones that are going to win, right? It doesn't get simpler than that.
Another
You're
question
right.
I touched on it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying you're right because there's less noise because so many people
Exactly.
are pulling out from sales and marketing. Less cold calls
Exactly.
being made, less people bidding on ads. So,
Exactly.
if you can be greedy when others are fearful, so to say, I mean, yeah, you'll kill it.
And people are also, and it's more of a thing as well that people are just looking to what other companies are doing. Oh, this company is doing that. We should do that as well. Just because they're doing it doesn't make it, it doesn't mean that you should go ahead and do the same thing, right? Like, and I think the same thing with the layoffs. Other companies are seeing, other companies laying off, said, oh, we should lay people off too, right? So yeah, it's kind of that birds of a feather mentality. But no, I'm definitely more on the side of the camp of just driving ahead, right? When everyone's pulling back, because we don't know how long this will be, right? But yeah.
And can I say, this is why you have cash reserves. This is why a little
Exactly.
bit of conservatism when
Exactly.
you're running your business and
You build
having a ramp.
responsibly.
I mean, I look, I know we're all about like SaaS and hyper growth and growth at all costs and all this, but
We're gonna hire 1,000 AEs.
yeah, hey, 6 months of like let's be a little conservative
Exactly.
here. Who knows what's going to happen? We don't want to lay these people off.
But again,
we didn't spend all our money on pool tables and all the fancy stuff. We set enough aside to have a long enough burn, right?
But that also goes back to what we said earlier, right? About some of that pressure of spending. And that's where it gets tough, is that you're pressured to spend, but you're pressured to drive revenue. But I do want to ask both of you something. This is something I heard a long time ago when back in 08, actually it was after 08, it was probably like 2011, a mentor of mine said something really interesting. He said, those who were able to live this recession going into this newer digital age, if and when something like this is going to happen, those are going to be the most sought after individuals within the realms with an S, because they're all different industries and different realms, right? And this is something that I'm trying to figure out right now. The way that the SaaS model is built, and this is where the question comes in for both of you. The way that we have SaaS, it's ever growing at speeds that are just phenomenal, right? What do you think about the individuals that lived this before, and do you think they have something to contribute in the SaaS space? It's a tough one, right?
I lived this before, you said?
So individuals, the way I rephrase it is, there's a lot of individuals from a business perspective who have lived this back in 08 when there was a recession. And a mentor of mine had told me, when this may happen again, those are the individuals who will thrive, being the ones that are going to be looked for to be able to consult on what is possible or what could be possible to get out of this quickly or get out of it quicker.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, because we're in SaaS, do you think there's relevance with those individuals knowing how quickly and how fast-paced SaaS truly moves?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess it depends what you mean exactly. The thing I'm thinking about is just that you sell differently in a recession to how you sell when you're in growth mode. So, that's something that I'm learning now. I've never really sold in a real recession before. And the way you have these conversations is different. Like people are like worried about different things. So I think it's a skill set. Like, I think if you've done it before and you've sold in recessions before and you know what's going on, I think that's going to be super valuable, for every recession. I don't know if that's what you meant by your question.
It is exactly what I meant.
Yeah,
I meant like, that's why I used the word realms, which is why I'm not trying to be cryptic, but like those who are in sales may have.
Who just joined? That's an interesting background.
I thought it was going to be somebody else, but apparently it was.
I'm going to finish my sentence, but what I mean is in the realms, in the sense that those who were in the sales game in 08, this is where it gets fun. If you understand the fundamentals, right, it's still going to be applicable today. That's where I was trying to drive that question, is that it will be applicable because certain consequences that happened back then may be mitigated now, right? It's a different level, different game, but regardless will still be relevant on some degree. That's why I think it could be relevant, but because of the way SaaS moves so quickly, it may become less relevant depending on the organization, I think.
Why do you think that?
So you have that some organizations that are just, their level of sophistication is a lot higher than others, right? And that comes with, call it testing, right? R&D internally, R&D externally, whatnot. Where you have a lot of other companies that don't have the resources to do so. So maybe some of these people who have lived this before can have more relevant information for them to potentially get, for them to, you see where I'm going with this? Because of how fast some of the larger organizations are moving, that person may not be as relevant to that specific conversation. But this is why I wanted to get into that question, because it reminds
still calling me.
Oh, pardon. We have this Karen who shows up to Whiskey Wednesday, and we like to give her space because she really, really hates salespeople. Sorry, guys.
We're almost done with
You're
the last
absolutely
topic.
right. I hate salespeople, Jesse. You remember that from last time.
Yeah, cold calls are not her favorite, but she does love a good ebook. This is something
I download so many ebooks, and I just absolutely love ebooks. And then what happens is, all of a sudden, I'm getting mobile phone calls all over the place. My phone, I'm with little Johnny at the soccer field, and he's kicking scores or goals, whatever you call them. And he's kicking them right in the nets, and the SaaS kids keep calling my phone over and over and over again, and it stinks. Take me off your list.
What would Whiskey Wednesday be without Karen?
I mean, she really shakes things up. So, Jake, Zoom info, how can we get Karen off?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I want to talk to you, Jake. Get me off that list.
Oh, man. Well, Karen, I will send you a link after this, because I'll be honest, I don't want to call people who don't want cold calls. It's all good.
It's not
You seem like a nice young man anyways, Jake.
Or link. It's not an unsubscribe link. It's a link to another
made some
ebook.
great points earlier. Could you get it into an ebook so I could download it?
Yeah, but I might call you afterwards. So, 50-50.
We're going to get
Yusuf
to write a book on relationship-led growth. He's going to send it over to Jake, and Jake's going to send you a link to that ebook. And then we're good.
I don't want any more SaaS kids calling me. That Brandon guy over at Seamless AI keeps giving my phone number out, and I don't like it anymore.
I got to get him on this podcast. Like, I got to get that guy on this podcast.
I'll come on and scream at him.
Seamless AI,
I got to find a way to get Brandon to come on our podcast some way,
Can we get
somehow.
a tag? Can a few people tag him? I'm sure he's got it on.
You know what? For anybody listening, you got everybody. I was going to say, you all.
I have a cell phone
Yeah,
number.
everyone tag him and bring him on.
What's his last name?
It's like
Brandon. Somebody write it down.
Seamless AI.
That'd be great. We could have a show with Karen yelling. The Zoom, Zoom info guy and the Seamless guy. That might be the best show on television.
Oh, yeah. That sounds fun.
This would be insane. If everybody here...
Take me off your list, Jesse.
Sorry, Karen. Take me off your list, Karen. Why are you always calling me?
Jesse,
how is Karen
bypassing
everybody and getting in here?
That's a good
question. I don't know why. I'm just getting so many calls. I must get a call for every ebook I download, which is a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. But at least we found out that we can get Karen off of the Zoom info list. So thanks for that, Jake.
Yep, no problem.
This is the best favor you've ever done us. Seriously.
Yeah.
Karen, are you still on with those SDRs? Karen, this is your husband, Nelson. Let's get rid of all those SDRs. Are they still around? Let's get rid of them all. I can't stand the SDRs.
Hey, Jake, were you ever an SDR?
Briefly, yeah. I started at AT&T, and that's more like full sales cycle. But the first 4 months or so was more. It's like a sales development program. So kind of a training session, but it was essentially four months of SDRing, and then I got placed out in the field with AT&T.
Awesome.
So
if everybody doesn't mind, I'm going to jump right into the last topic so we can get into Guru of the Week. What do you think?
I think we should do it.
Let's do it. So the last one is new quarter, new mindset. So we'll start off with, anybody want to lead? Yusuf, Jake?
Karen,
I want to hear what Karen's gonna do.
No, don't do this. Jake, come on,
let me
man.
tell you something. I saw a SaaS kid the other day. He put up his own ebook and he's trying to sell it, and then he's calling me after I bought it. One of these, I don't know who these guys are, the SaaS Bros or something like that. They
Oh
got
my
these
God.
gumshoe roads, gumshoe website, whatever it's called. You get on there and they want to tell you how to be a SaaS bro. Let's go. And
Karen,
bought the
I
book
got a
'cause I love
question for you.
ebooks.
What do you think of the kids on your lawn? You like those kids? You think
I
they're
don't
good
want
kids?
them off
or-
that lawn. That's for sure.
Didn't you have a post about that? About somebody that came and sold you like a lawn mowing? Or was that you? Jake?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Everybody.
A memorable story, Jake. It's a memorable
Yeah, no,
story.
it was cool. I had a bunch of weeds in my lawn. It was like totally crazy. It was like a jungle out there. And, this dude saw that I had a pain point. So he walked up, he noticed the pain point and asked if I wanted to solve it. I was
Don't
like,
you wish every sale was like that in SaaS?
yeah.
We could see
Yeah.
your pain point.
If
We could just use Technographics. It's that easy.
You're only one ebook away from the greatest vacation of your life.
So new quarter, new mindset, everybody. Let's get your mindset. How about that? Let's get what your mindset is going into new quarter. What do you think? Yusuf, you want to kick us off? What's your mindset now going into Q3 or Q2 or Q1, depending on where, even if it is a Q at this point for you in fiscal year?
Yeah, I think it comes down to incremental goals, right? I think a lot of times we tend to have moonshot ideas of the goals that we want to achieve, and 9 times out of 10 we don't really end up achieving those. So I think setting those incremental goals that you can target and you can go after every single day, whether they be inside of your work or outside of your work. I think that's the best mentality approach to take, right? I think we end up just jotting all these things down that may or may not ever get done. And yeah, so just starting at a level, setting your expectations on a more realistic level, right?
I like that. I like that very much. Jesse, what do you
Yeah.
think?
Oh,
Or
no,
Jake?
go.
Jake, no,
no,
please,
no,
Jake.
no. Jesse's
I'm
got
good.
it. Jesse's got
No, Jake.
it.
Jake,
I feel like sales
Yeah.
is like a mindset game, more than in marketing. That's
Yeah.
why you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple things I'm thinking about. Like the first one is simply like being an abundance like mindset. Like the last thing that you want to do is be scrapping at the end of the quarter, right? So it's one of those things where I'm making it a priority to just put activity in super early in the month so that I'm not stressing and I'm not ever behind on that. There was one other thing I was going to say. You might have to come back to me. I forgot my train of thought.
that's okay. We can
Dude,
definitely come back.
Dude, it's the whiskey. It's the whiskey. This is hitting me.
Okay, bruv.
My
It's okay,
goodness.
bruv.
Wednesday.
It's okay. It's Wednesday.
But I'm with Jake though. Like he brought up a good point. Don't wait till I think we always, and a few people brought this up on LinkedIn, right? People always talk about the end of the quarter, and last day of the end of the quarter, right? You don't really have to worry about that if you're staying on top of things, right? Your pipeline is always full, and
Yeah.
you start the month strong, right? So you start the month strong, and you'll hopefully finish strong, right? Just never taking your foot off the gas, basically, and just don't go in like, oh yeah, it's the beginning of the month, and
We got time.
take it easy. I got time, I got time to get stuff done, go out and take a few
Great.
trips, No, just you stay focused, right? It's still at the end of the day, work is still a grind. It doesn't matter how we wrap it up, it's still a grind at the end of the day, right? But staying on top of things and staying ahead, I agree with what Jake is saying. Then that way, when it comes to the end, you're relaxing, right? You're doing other stuff with your life.
Yeah, and Yusuf, you just you made me think of what I was going to say. It was what Jesse just said. Sales is all about mindset at the end of the day. It's about like controlling your emotions and being able to stay in it. And, that's something that I've been focusing on the last couple months that I want to keep on improving on, is just like, let the chips fall where they may. You know what I mean? It's like, I can control my own activity and I can go hard and I can work great with my SDR and I can prospect and, I can do all that stuff. But then it's like, if I've done all that and I've worked the crap out of the leads that I'm getting, and it's the 25th of the month and I've got 30 grand more to hit my number, like, I'm trying to not sit here and freak out about that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to get better at like controlling the controllables and then just leaving it on the field and kind of having like a fuck it attitude, kind of like, like, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to leave it all out. And then if I don't hit, like, I don't hit, it's not the end of the world. Like, I'm not going to be on my deathbed thinking about that, and like, but like, you kind of have to have that perspective. Like, you've got to remember that, like, we're all going to die. Like, we all are going
I like
to.
how we went to that.
Sorry. Keeping the positivity here. But no, it's like, it's good to remember that. It's good to remember that, because you can get so wrapped up in it and you think it's the end of the world if you're at 85% of your number. And the reality is, it's just not. Like, you have a life to live. So
2 words. First one, Jake, uncontrollable. That is something that all salespeople should be reminded of. The second thing is, and I've said this many a times and I've gotten pushback, whatever it is, what it is. Budgets, although they are constructed based on a multitude of things, from analytics to, KPIs and whatnot in the past, they are still a suggestion, right? It is a suggestion for a salesperson based on this precedence that we have and this data that we have. The uncontrollable is something that we have to be mindful of. Like, think about the budget that happened pre-COVID, and then COVID happened, and look at all the shit that we went through.
Yep.
You cannot control these things. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if your specific market is going to be drowned by one specific event. Like, if, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you sell something that has to do with oil and there's a shortage in oil, right? It's uncontrollable. It's something that, although you have a budget to hit, it is suggested to you to do so, but you can no longer control that. So if you have $1 million to sell, but you're only able to sell 500,000, what then? Are you scrutinized? Are you crucified for it? You shouldn't, because technically it's not something that you can control, right? You can't just make people buy something, right? There's a process that's involved. So I had to go back to that whole uncontrollable thing. So thank you, Jake. Now you got to tell me what's so funny.
Oh, I'm laughing at Jesse's comment. Whatever it is.
Is that the same Brandon you guys were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got the name for those who were wondering.
10x.
What, Eddie?
10x.
Eddie, that's probably a good topic for another time as well, to tie in, and even in a popular opinion, are quotas even realistic?
You know what?
How
Why don't we
realistic are
touch on it?
quotas?
We have about 3-4 minutes left before we get into Guru of the Week, but why don't we just touch on it? So give me your opinion on that. I mean, this is something that I'm sure it's a huge hot topic.
Let's take it to the comment section.
Yeah. Like, all right, let's go into it right now.
Let us know in the comments.
Can we define what realistic means?
Well, look, I mean, you hear things like 50% of sales reps are hitting their quotas. Like, that's crazy to hear that.
Yeah.
That's in SaaS. I'm hearing that in SaaS. Like, 50% truly hit their quotas. Is it because it's unrealistic? Is it because the products are very challenging? What is it? Right? Is it because
the budget is too big? Yeah.
That was my next thing. Is it because it's very inflated? Right? Let's see what others have to say, and then maybe we can touch on that a little bit. It is laggy a little bit with LinkedIn, so
Let's see what Jesse says. He says, find the inbox, find the checks, find them in the mail. All about that inbox. If you're not following Jesse Outlet, I highly suggest following him. You'll get so many tips on getting in.
Brilliant gentleman.
Brilliant.
Like the pasta Barillo or Barilla, whatever. Brilliant.
You guys know what's Jason asking is achievable? Who mentioned something about
Is it achievable? Well, that's a great point, though.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, that I think that's kind of what I was asking, like,
mhm.
Right.
because they are achievable. I mean, it's achievable, but to your point, Eddie, like if 50% of people aren't hitting, clearly it's achievable because half the team is hitting.
Mm.
But is that the right outcome?
Well, you know how many
Probably
times
not.
you know how many times I've been told by SDRs or AEs that I've talked to that they're getting sold on this idea when they're first getting hired about how achievable their quotas are, and the average rep is doing this
The
much
average,
percent.
not the median, the
That's what I
average.
want to know. Who's the average here? Because then they speak to me like, right, well, we'll do a little bit of like a mini coach, and then they'll tell me like I'm literally at like 45% right now, and I've got like 2 months until the end of the year. I'm like, what is happening? Like, how did this even happen? And I'm not sure. I don't have the answers.
Well, I think one thing to chime in, Jesse, the other Jesse, he talks about a lot is, are the systems even set up for them to be efficient in the first place? You know, do they have the right systems, for the sales folks to be able to be, efficient salespeople to begin with? We all know that a lot of salespeople end up doing a lot of admin work more than actual selling, right? So that's also a big issue, when they actually want to be doing more closing, right? So
yeah. I read that yesterday. Like only 30%, 37% is actually sales activities.
Yep.
The rest of it is non-selling activities.
It's 2/3 of the day. It's crazy.
That's what it is. It's 2/3.
Okay.
It's totally crazy.
Something
Data
percent.
entry, or what else is there?
So,
Well,
it's
you're researching prospects.
Yeah, okay.
Like, hey, I sell this all the time, so I know this one. No, I mean the 2/3 of the day, you're trying to find who to talk to. You're like filtering on LinkedIn, trying to get to the right. You're trying to find the right company. You're going on Google Maps, trying to find people that are close to you. You're doing research for
Data entry, activity,
CRM logging. Yeah,
yep.
that's another big one. Yeah,
No.
so it's like you can take a bunch of that and just
you're doing activity work, right? You're not even being judged on the sales that you're doing. It's more like if your activity is not good enough, it's like, okay, now you're not that productive person that we want you to be. So it's like kind of making that more efficient for people so they can be those, efficient worker, salespeople, per se. But I think that's a really, unpopular opinion. I think that really comes back to, the technology and the systems and the processes that they have set up. They're not set up to win. A lot of them are not set up to win to begin with, and that's just something that's not talked about, right? And then these reps come in, they want to give their all, and they end up, crashing and burning, or just burning out, and then they're blamed, for not performing, more or less. So imagine you have these horrible systems, you have, these maybe unrealistic budget that they want to hit, and then you have this rep in there trying their best, going in there, trying to do what they're doing, and then they get told, oh, you're just making excuses, right? So we see this a lot, and this needs to be talked about more, in the sales communities.
Dude,
I've never seen the rate of burnout in my life like I've seen in SaaS, ever.
Yeah.
Never.
It's something that needs to be
costs
addressed.
money. It costs money.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, average sales rep costs $100K after, expenses and taxes and insurance and all that stuff. So like 2/3 of their day, like that's almost 70 grand, and like, and that's, and then when you add in like them having to be recruited and the attrition and the turnover and the ramp time and all this stuff, I mean, wouldn't it just be cheaper to just enable everyone and, like not cut corners and lower quotas a little bit and make it a good experience so that people don't leave? Like purely from like an economic, like money perspective, like, would that not be cheaper?
Think
I
about
don't
the
know,
confidence.
right?
Think about the confidence that comes with that too. The confidence boost you get when it's lower and it's very achievable.
Oh yeah.
You get in there and you're like on LinkedIn, like, yeah, bro, yes, it's like fucking yeah, man, fucking 150%, bro. Like this,
What are you like?
And your prospects feel that.
Exactly.
I'm a
Give them
surfer
the
right
tools,
now.
like Jesse said.
You're right, man. Fucking totally 100%, bro. But,
Yeah.
no, like it's just
Tools.
you get all
Humans have been
happy.
using tools for a long time.
But
Set them up for
imagine-
success, right? You know, don't,
Yeah,
don't set them up for failure, right?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Yusuf. Thank you. Really set them up for
Exactly.
building confidence so you can set yourself up for that success.
I don't
If
think
not,
anybody, yeah. And I don't think anybody starts a job not wanting to do, perform at their best, right? I don't think anyone goes into a job with that mentality, right? Because everyone's trying to put food on the table at the end of the day.
But like on
I
that
don't know
same
yet.
end, be open-minded and willing to learn, because there is a lot of, resistance to change, and we're
Absolutely.
at a place in the time in humanity right now where there's a lot of change. So the more open-minded you can do, the better off you're going to put your organization. Along those lines, we
Absolutely.
talk about relationship-led growth, and now we're talking about, human mindset and like supporting your people. But like one really big way I found to do that is just close your mouth and open your ears.
Mhm.
Whether you're, relationship-led growth, like that's how human communication is key. And a big part of communication is receiving messages as well. So you can't receive messages if you're always talking. So close your mouth, open your ears. I think that's a big part of it, like across the board, with just a lot of the topics that we're talking about tonight.
That's why you've seen almost every job description for salespeople these days in SaaS is coachability. Right? You have to be coachable. That is literally what you see in almost every single SaaS job description for salespeople these days.
Why do you think you see it in SaaS job descriptions, not other job descriptions?
I see it in others, but it's very prominent within the SaaS. It's because it's becoming like this buzzword, right? And I do want to I'm not going to touch on it, but it is, it's quite a buzzword within that, within, I don't even know what the word I'm looking for here is, but like within, I guess, the hiring process. Right? I see it a lot. I used to see it a lot before, and I had a lot of people tell me that this is one of the things as leaders that they look for: someone who is coachable, someone who's willing to listen, and someone who's willing to adapt and evolve with the moving trend that they have. I always hated what?
He always
Jesse.
I hate being coachable.
He's better at coaching than being coached. That's why.
I'll take
What happens
coaching
when
from
you're
Jesse
brilliant?
any day.
Sign me up.
Hell, I'd pay for that.
For real. If you're not,
I didn't say that, Jesse. I didn't say that. I don't want any calls or
Dude,
emails.
He's gonna close you now.
I
You're,
know
you're
he
done,
is.
Eddie. You're
That
done.
guy's brilliant, bro. Like I'm so afraid right now because he has my email. I signed up to his stuff that he knows where I am.
No, me too.
I just want to highlight Amy's comment here: being able to receive positive and negative feedback as well as give it.
Yeah.
It's a two-way street, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's not talked about enough, because the whole feedback thing, like if you can take feedback well, your potential is crazy.
Yeah. That's why I love Saad and Tom. I think, and there's, as sales leaders themselves, I really respect, the mindset they go into and building out their teams, right? They empower them, right? You have to empower people if you want them to succeed, right? You can't just
1,000,000%.
Gone are the days of stick and carrot operations. You can't just dangle, opportunity in front of people and say, go work, get it done. Those days that's the remnants of a bygone era, right? People need to feel some sort of value when it comes to doing their work.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a lot of attention around and excitement for the guru of the week. So,
Oh yeah. I don't know who it is.
Guru of the week.
Woo!
Guru of the week.
Woo!
All right. So, did you guys end up agreeing on just one guru of the week?
Is there a consensus here?
I don't think so. I had some ideas.
Yeah, I had some ideas, but I haven't been as active as I'd like on LinkedIn lately.
Totally understand.
What I was doing there.
Well, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to both share your own guru of the week?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do it. Go ahead, Jake.
So I would like to shout out. Do you want me to just like say his name, or do you want me to link his profile or whatever?
Link it and say it.
In the comments.
Okay,
That'll be
cool.
great.
Yeah. So who I want to shout out, someone who's helped me a ton with my own cold calling and cold emailing and sales mindset. He's actually where I got the line about "we're all going to die" from. It's Jack Frimston over in the UK. Yeah, him and
like that
Zach.
guy.
Him and Zach Thompson, they run an outsourced SDR business over there.
Yeah.
They're both amazing. Follow
Yeah.
Zach too, but Jack Frimston's content is
Raw.
amazing, and he's helped me a ton with like my own sales outreach and all that. So got to give him some credit there.
I got to give him some clout.
Co-director at We Have a Meeting LTD.
Yeah,
that's
exactly
him. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Give him some clout, man. That guy is raw when it comes to his stuff. You know, very how do you say it? Unafraid to speak. And that's what you need more of these days. You need people who are unafraid to speak out about the realm because, you know, a lot of scrutiny, a lot of criticism. But I like Jack for that, man. I've liked his stuff for quite a while. Well, when I was more active, I was like all over his stuff. But I'm getting back into it, Jack. Getting back into it.
All right, Yusuf, tell us.
For me, I'd have to say, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name, Jesse. You know, I think he's one of those people. He probably wouldn't even, of course, consider himself a guru, but he's one of those people who's not afraid to speak up about change, you know, and what's going on in the industry, and you know what needs to be addressed and what needs to be focused on. You know, when a lot of others are staying silent. You know, I think he brings a lot of knowledge, you know, to the sales and marketing realm. So yeah, I'd probably have to nominate him.
I'm with you. I have a little bit of a
Well, he's officially a guru now.
Kind of thing. He's officially a guru with a GU, no double O's.
GU.
Yes, congratulations. Jesse Owlette is the other guru of the week, which I'm like fully behind because Jesse is amazing. I get inspired by his posts every day. That's what I was saying. Everybody needs to go follow Jesse's post. I'm definitely going to go follow, what was his name? Jack Frimston. Actually, it looks like I'm already following him. We got to ring his bell.
You know, actually, I don't think I wouldn't know anybody here, technically, and like as a group, thinking about if it wouldn't have been for what Jesse incepted, right? Like when you really look at it,
absolutely,
I wouldn't even know each other.
Exactly, we would literally Whiskey Wednesdays would have never happened if it wasn't for Jesse Willett. Jesse Willett gave us a platform for us to communicate on. I mean, the platform was built, but he gave us, you know, the room in the platform for all of us to communicate together. And the cool thing is, as much as what you all see on LinkedIn, the give, there is like 5x of that happening in the background with Jesse towards all of us. So I'm telling you, like the things that an individual or two or three are capable of doing and creating is quite phenomenal. And I want to say thank you just because we would not be here today if it wasn't for Jesse. So thank you, Jesse. We love it.
Definitely has a big heart.
Yeah, big heart. Huge giver.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, what I really like too is, you know, he promotes a really inclusive community. And so, you know, it's created a place where now when I meet other women in revenue positions, I'm always wanting to bring them into that community because of the space he created. It's definitely a learning and a growing space. So it's only the beginning, as he says. So I'll put that comment up there. But thanks for everything, Jesse. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, you gave us a voice, although we already, a voice that we did not technically have before. And that's what's nice about that.
For sure. 100%. He says there are rocket ships, there are pirate ships. We all get there somehow. There are also yachts.
We get in the pirate ship and then we rocket upwards.
100%.
That's how I see it.
So, Eddie, I know we talked about changing up the after party. So what is our plan for tonight? Are we doing an after party?
So I want to make everybody aware of something. So tonight may be the last night that we're going to be doing an after party live. Maybe next week. We're going to wait and see. It's tentative, but the idea is that we do want to merge over into more of a private setting. The reason that we want to do that is because we're limited to the amount of people that we can actually have in the after party. I think it's 12 total. We've had people that are trying to join, but unfortunately we cannot. So as far as me and Jesse's conversation in the background, we are looking to maybe switch it over into a Zoom call so that we can have more bodies, so we can have bigger conversations. So if you do have something to say, let us know. If you feel like we should continue it live, please be aware that we are limited and there really isn't any other platform that can give us, a larger scale of people. And if you like the idea of us merging it over more privately, let us know also in the comments, because, we value everybody's opinion. And this whole thing is based around giving value to those who are listening and to those who are involved in the conversation. So speak up and let us know.
Yeah, I put the link in the comments if you would like to join us for possibly one of our last live after parties. Please find that link in the comments. I can also send it to you in the DMs if you would like it there, as we normally do. Let me switch my banner here. It's after party time. Want to join us?
Oh, schnitz.
So
After the party,
after party. We always finish Guru of the Week, and then we allow anyone to join us, which last week there weren't a lot of people. I know, like with the holiday, I don't know, maybe people are just like not wanting to get online late at night. Because we definitely would have like people in like watching, just not wanting to join. So
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid.
We had 15 in last time I checked, and then people we ask when they come on, they don't want to, which is totally fine. We don't have to do an after party, but there are some where it's like overflowing and we can't get everybody in. So one of our other reasons for wanting to go to Zoom is then people can feel more comfortable talking, because sometimes we'll get into some like heavy alignment conversations and it's good stuff, but because it's live, they don't want their employers to see it. So, the after party could be more of a safe space for revenue people to come around and chit chat about it. Who do we have here with us? We got Tom Slocum joining us. Thanks for
What's up, y'all? Give me just a second. I am just trying to fix some stuff. What's going on?
I want to try to say it with like a Jay-Z accent, like after the party is the after party.
I think more R. Kelly, after the show is the after party.
Oh my God, that's true. It's R. Kelly.
Way to go, dude. Completely
I completely shot the bet on that one, didn't I? Okay, well.
What's up, Sarah? Sarah, got a whiskey tonight?
Hello.
What up? What up? This is what I love. This is my favorite part of the whole show. Having all of us here combine, all these beautiful humans.
That's why I got to sit and wait an hour until we get here. I got to wait an hour until we get here, Oh, shit. That's the whole group. Shit.
I meant none of what I said, Jesse.
Nah, you guys are too kind, man.
I meant nothing of what I said, Jesse.
Right.
P.S. I love you.
I love you too, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Looks like Amy might join us. She needs to grab her charger. If anyone else needs to join us, please do. Oh, that's right. I totally failed on the music. I always forget. I got music now. I just forget. I don't know. I think Jesse's music has kind of become more of the sound for Whiskey Wednesday because everybody is used to it. Anyway, we need to take our promo song and add it up.
Yeah, we do. We should take that promo song and put it on.
Yeah, we've got the masterclass tomorrow. That's what I wanted to make sure everybody comes to. And then Michelle's hosting it. Michelle's going to actually host it. So.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Michelle?
Yeah, of course. Yep. So I wanted her to host it because I don't want to be a guru. Like, it's much better to not be a guru on talking on video like that. Like, we don't want to be the guy up there like telling everybody how to do shit. This is what works for me. This is might work for you. Do it. I've spent a lot of time feeling.
You're the ghostwriter, and you got somebody else on the face of it for you.
I'm not gonna take the credit. I don't want that. And Michelle's awesome. She's gonna rap. We've got a song here coming up too. She's dropping one of her old classics. Have you guys heard the song yet?
Chicken in the mail? Oh, dude, she did it at the sales cipher for.
Oh my gosh, this song is like it's hitting.
Eddie, you heard that through Tim Savage and them. I think you were there for that.
Have you guys heard this song yet? This thing is incredible. I mean, this is one of the best songs going on right now. You guys haven't heard about this yet?
Yeah, can you play it?
Yeah, let me see if I can play it in. Hold on. Can you hear it?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
Everybody sending me checks in the mail. Hundreds and thousands from near and far. I can't even count how many there are. Checks in the mail, got checks in the mail. Everybody sending me checks. Checks in the mail, checks in the mail, checks in the mail, checks in the mail.
Okay.
That's Michelle, Eddie.
Okay. Get it.
I love it.
Tell Tim Savage tomorrow when you see him, hey, my check's in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
Jam. Tim loved it when it went off, dude. Tell him, yo, are my checks in the mail?
Tim has taught me something quite profound.
Oh, wait, you haven't.
Ooh. Okay.
Talent right there. That's why.
Say it. Hey.
Checks are in the mail.
Who is this?
Tim loved it when it went off, dude. Tell him, yo, are my checks in the mail?
Tim has taught me something quite profound.
Oh, wait, you haven't.
Somebody's Ooh.
I still hear Jesse's music.
There, that's why.
Hey.
Checks are in the mail.
Who is this?
We got too many people talking at once.
Right, Jake? I don't know who's who. I don't know what's happening.
Who's watching the video right now? You have to.
I'm on mute.
Yeah, you want to put the LinkedIn Live on the other tab on mute. If you have the LinkedIn Live playing, that's the feedback that we're getting right now.
We got too many people talking at once. Oh no, I hear myself. That's awful.
Someone has it playing. Close all your other tabs, everybody.
Oh, you guys hate to listen to yourself. I cringe.
Oh,
every
Good
time.
thing we have somebody I've never met before that's beneath you.
I don't listen to my own podcast. I don't do none of it. I can't. I'll put it on my car and be like, yeah, turn that shit off. Can't do it.
Yeah.
This is
Maybe
weird.
was it you by chance? I don't think we heard it till you popped on. Maybe there's another tab that's open. Close all your other tabs, everybody.
Oh, you guys hate to listen to yourself.
Living in the past. Oh,
That's awful.
cool.
Oh my goodness sake, let's have some cake. All right, that was
Cheers,
good.
everybody. We
Cheers.
did it.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers. Cheers. Ooh, you've got Starbucks. Yummy.
Lucky. So, individual with Starbucks, I've never met or had the pleasure of meeting you.
Hi. I can't.
Hi.
I'm super zoomed in for some reason. I don't know why, but I'm
Yeah,
Amy.
we all are.
Hey,
Yeah.
Amy, how are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet everyone.
It's a pleasure to meet you also.
Yeah.
We are a pretty tight little group, and now we're going to get even tighter and bigger and larger than life.
Yeah, all of our faces are really close together.
Tom, saw that post today. Seems like you're growing Trainio. So happy to see that.
Man, dude. Yeah, it's been a fun time, man. Got 3 SDRs now.
Nice.
Jess, Annika, and Liam. Yeah, so I got the 3, and Annika was day 2 in and booked her first meeting today. Jess is already crushing the month with 4, right? Liam's got his 5. And yeah, man, we're moving along. And then I'm just revamping everything. Like, it's just been day in and day out, revamping everything. It's good times. Good times.
I'm impressed, man. You're quite the VP of sales, dude. You've been doing well.
I'm impressed with my own self. Let's be real, Jesse. I'm impressed with myself.
You're doing a good job, man.
Yeah, straight shooter.
No, I was so proud. I was bragging to Jesse about my email deliverability, bro. Like, I was so pumped.
Showed up all greens.
Shit, man.
You know, we got to get back into that inbox, though. I mean, it's just so sad watching all these SDRs just send a bunch of emails into the spam folder. And some of them actually aren't, like, the word spam is kind of a 2 thing, right? There's the folder called spam, right? That's a label. And then there's another thing called, you know,
categories.
Like, in, you know, dictionaries, they say the word spam means like something you don't want or whatever, you know, like whatever it is. But it's like people don't realize they're not, like, everybody crafts these weird messages. They're out there like trying to find the greatest, you know, tip from the latest cool guru notepad, like handwritten note or whatever. Forget, I don't even know. And I'm like, none of your emails are going in, so you couldn't even test the messaging. Like, scientifically, you have no idea if that message landed at any rate of return. You couldn't predict it. It's actually a better chance that it didn't land if you have more than 3 to 4 SDRs.
Yeah.
Because the deliverability is going to be way off because you're not getting any engagement back from your emails. And that's how AI spam bots work. Filters work. They block you if you don't have a lot of engagement back. So you have to, what the really good cold email people are doing is they'll use something called an email warm up, and they'll run it so it automatically gets them 30% replies.
I had a question for you on that, Jesse.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, right, when it comes to this, you throw in a no SDR. I hire Annika. She's day 2, and I'm going to expect her to start sending
warm the
50 emails
inbox
a
up for
day.
2 weeks.
Correct, right? So my question for you, and you are the guru of all this, and we're here. How can a company pre-prep a domain for SDRs that could potentially be coming to the team without knowing that person that they're going to hire? So let's say I know I want my team in the next 2 months to grow by 3. How would I start warming up domains for that person? So by the time they come in on day 2, they could start blasting their 50 emails, writing their personalization, and it would land in the box if I don't know their email address.
Yeah. So,
or do I put them off the front lines for like 2 weeks while I warm up and just say, hey, just do LinkedIn and phone call while I work on, you can't do email for the first 2 weeks. Do I take that risk while I wait for their
what I would do is I would start immediately. So if you know you're hiring somebody, start 2 weeks before, if you can. But if you've kind of just start right away, right? What you can do in the second week, if you've got a pretty good reputation at the company already, you might be able to get about half of those emails out. Like you might want to split it and just send half, right? So what we're finding is like we're testing a lot of this deliverability, stuff, and we see what we see is, the settings are first, right? It sounds like you've already checked that. The next thing is obviously the contact data, validation on the contact data. If you use, Zoom info, great. Just make sure you validate it before you start sending it. And I think they have a product Never Bounce, but there's also other companies that have verification products. And then you want to make sure that you're getting all those, you need to get 30 to 40% response rate across the team. And if you're not getting a 30 to 40% response rate across the company's domain, it's, and then what happens is those report spams, that button, how you can report a spam. That button has gotten a lot worse. So the number you got to be under there. I mean, we test it. We're breaking it, right? We have 250 inboxes running at all times. We're running email warm up. We're just sending, and everything gets delivered. We still have to get our copyright. I mean, people tell us, every now and then they'll tell us, but we have one inbox, and we have that one inbox is where we take all the responses from the entire, so we're sending 25, 30,000 emails a month right now, hoping to get up higher. But, we make sure that we get all of these emails out. We make sure that we get them in the inbox so people can actually hear what your story is and your message. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
It almost be cool if somebody created an email warm-up buy tool, right? So you know how Phone Burner or these dialers, you can buy pre-registered phone numbers? Imagine if I could buy pre-warmed up email domains that then I assign to
there's
my
people
reps.
doing that.
Really? That's
so what they're doing is they're selling, but it's not the best idea because here's why. Because sometimes there's a little bit of you want it to come from your domain. It depends on who you're prospecting with. So I know some people who are doing it. They'll use G Suite accounts. So what they do, Google accounts. They use personal Google. Personal Google delivers the best. It's the best way to get your emails through. Now, I'm not going to tell it. A lot of SDRs have asked me. They're like, "Well, how do I get around this? My IT department won't even fix it." I say, "Well, you could theoretically use Google Personal,
right?
But I'm not going to recommend that because you might be fired for it." Right? And I say, if you get fired, do not call me. I will not hire you.
I will not. Yeah, I won't help you.
That's why I got fired as well. So don't do it. Not because of that. I'm sorry. That's not why I got fired. It was because I wouldn't take the signature off my email. But
that was awesome.
But the point is, I have a friend. He's I won't name who it is, but he's sending massive volumes to Google Personal, and he's running these campaigns for businesses, and the conversion is so high. Remember, you're not testing the message until the customer gets it and responds, or the prospect.
Right.
So most of your messages aren't getting responses because they're not getting in the inbox. They're landing in the friggin' spam folder, and no one's pulling them out. So you don't even know if your message is working. You'd be 6 steps ahead if you were able to iterate and test and test and test. Like I am. I get all the messages and I know how to fix the copy.
Why can't you track that? Why doesn't Outreach or Yesware or any of those tools or even Lavender show you is there a way to see where you're being filtered to in your inbox? So I could pull my SDR team, say we sent 1,500 emails this month, and I could actually see, okay, 70% of that landed in spam.
So
or landed in promotions.
So remember remember whose settings it is. So when you send an email, you're sending communication to another business.
Yeah.
The other business has to accept the communication. Remember, the attack surface for, and Eddie, you're in the security world now. The number one way you can get somebody at a company to actually it all comes. That's why phishing is now. Actually, the other day I had one funny. There's a product out there. There's a setting where if you go over a certain amount of records on your domain, that product. Have any of you taken that product? What it's called, Nobi or whatever, the one that you have to go through the phishing and make sure you're not going to click on links. They try to trick you, and then you got to go to the training.
Yeah.
Has anybody done that?
Yeah, I used to sell that actually.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Well, somebody I was working with, they're having delivery problems, and I realized the reason that they're having delivery problems was because their IT department put Nobi to allow them to deliver emails from Nobi on their domain, and that was the 12th record, and that actually threw off their whole email system.
Whoa.
So if you go over 12 records, a lot of SaaS companies don't realize this. They'll find out in the D round or E round of their company, and they're all of a sudden the lights go out and your SDR team is of no use at all. Basically, this is what's happening with cold email right now. I mean, making phone calls does separate the risk a little bit now. Email delivery is 10x harder than it was even last year.
Well,
so are there ways to
go ahead, Sarah? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just wondering, are there ways to automate these metrics so that companies that are going into their D round and E round can have KPIs set up?
Yes. Yep. So what you want to do is you want to set up with your IT team something called DMARC monitoring. That will allow your IT team to report every week how many times you failed and got complaints. You need to monitor the complaints when you get complaints. So when I ask companies, I'm like, do you know how many times people complained on your SDRs? No. But you see people saying, you see people who are in G Suite jail, right? Google jail.
Yep.
And I feel terrible because I'm like, well, that person really got a lot. You have to get by the way, Google is the most forgiving platform in the world. They let you spam till the end and nobody can stop them because of, because they're the most reputable company in the world for email. So you can't just ban Google. It's not a trivial, Google's on blacklists all over the place, but you can't, it doesn't even matter. They're on the Sorbs blacklist. They're on a bunch of these blacklists. And if you look at the blacklist, that's where they're at. They're never going to get blacklisted. Who would ever block Google? Nobody.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
What can you do to improve the copy? I mean, what makes a good, especially the first email, what makes a good first email, and what should the goal of a sequence be in the first place? Should it be to insert your Calendly link and have people click them? Or should it be to get replies?
Well, it even starts before that. So it starts with, you really want to use different messages. So this is another thing that works is you actually don't want to send the same copied email out because that will actually impact you too. What the really safe way to do it is, remember, it's just a score. And when you go over that score, if you get enough complaints that day, you could be shutting down the whole email system for 2 weeks, whatever, right? But you should use something called Spintax, which is where it does the rules, where it's the brackets, and then it says hi, and then it'll change that hi to maybe that's not the right, but it'll change it to 3 variations of. And there's tools out there that you can do this. There's a first line. My friend makes one, Quick Lines. There's a bunch of these tools out there. There's Smart Writer, but they'll go in and they'll grab the line and they'll mix it up a little bit. Because what's happening is the spam filter will pick it up. But I think, Jesse, maybe your question was around copy.
More of
what
copy,
actually works and
what
converts.
makes a powerful copy, and what should that call to action be?
Relevance right now, and not a hard CTA for time. Relevance is the biggest thing right now, and one-to-one relevance. People don't want to be a fit anymore. They want it to be relevant to them, just like anything, ads, anything you're programmed now to only deal with things that are relevant to you. So if it's not relevant to them at that time, if they think there's any mass production of that email, they're probably not going to respond.
It. Yep.
So you can get around that. I mean, we're gaming it. We're doing some stuff there where we're we'll add a variable where we'll pull in. So let's say you have visitor traffic for the company's domain name, right? And you're hey, you guys are lower in your visitor traffic. we saw you had X last month. Maybe we pulled that out with like an API call. And we had that information before. We knew how much visitors they had. So you can add a very specific, or you could do like a PS, like I saw, you know, I'm from, and then you can put whatever area they're in, and you can say my favorite restaurant is whatever the #1 restaurant is on TripAdvisor or something like that. I'm just saying that's like something some people have done, but you could do something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you have to be relevant. And you have to be, you know, you can't really go for that hard CTA, like, you know, like, would you be interested in learning more? Something like that works a little bit better, but if you send enough emails,
Or buy it now.
But like,
yeah,
Right
take
here.
the unsubscribe link out too, by the way. That's the worst thing people are doing right now. Now your legal department will they'll go look at every document, but I'm going to tell you what the actual legal says. And I'm not giving anybody legal advice, but what it says is you have to give them a way to unsubscribe and monitor like a list. You have to have that list. So what you can do is you can say, please, you know, leave me please message me if you don't want to hear from me anymore or something like that, right?
Really?
Yeah. I would be careful. The bigger the company, the more like strife you're going to cause internally.
Totally.
And then when you start causing strife around this small of a thing, this is when, you know, you get into the position I'm in where I had to get fired and go build a profitable SaaS business and, you know, make my life way better and everything. But that
sounds terrible, man. That sounds awful.
It wasn't easy though. It's a lot of work, but it's like, but anyways, you know, it's just like one of those things. Like I just, you know, just be careful. You don't want to go battle, you know, like somebody's going to say, why are we even talking? Well, they don't really care about cold email delivery. That's why we're talking. Because most people have a rule in their inbox now for unsubscribe. Anything that has unsubscribe, you're going to just dump it.
So, but like any link, right? Like any link you add could work against you. So like if I'm going to add a Calendly into my first email, is that going to work against me? Even though it's like, I hear Tom where it's like, yeah, book that meeting, get that in there.
Yeah.
But...
So the worst links you can do right now are the ones that if you click on it and it takes you to another website, that's not that one. It's called like the click tracking. Keep that off. There's no chance you're getting delivered on click tracking.
Oh, like a short link, like a bit.ly.
Exactly. Those, because here's why. You could get that in your inbox. It goes through the spam filter, and then that link could change the second it lands in your spam.
Bye, Amy.
I was waving bye to Tom because he was leaving.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm headed out too.
Me and Jim gotta go. The partners are calling. We gotta run.
Exactly.
Oh, don't boo us, Eddie.
Get me in contact.
My wife makes all the calls. You gotta go through the DM.
Exactly.
Let me check with my wife first before I sign that contract, Eddie.
That link is fine though, Jesse, to answer your question. You can send a couple of links. You just have to be careful that they're not redirect, or they have like PII and the, you know, like in the link you have to, if you just make, you know what links work really well? The smart links, the LinkedIn ones, because those ones don't redirect you and you can still track. That's a good one.
So like a Calendly link, if it's just like
Calendly link is fine, but you have to basically you know, you want to send that, like, I don't know why. I think it's a little rude to send it in the first.
That's true. Good point.
Like you should send it in the second one. And remember, the second email is going to go through. So here's where it's really hard. It's really hard on the front line of like getting new emails to new people. Everybody else in your company will say email's working fine. Everything's beautiful. It's the people who have to go get new people on the phone at new companies with mega spam bot filter Terminator 2000 kill your SDR team for, you know, sending them emails. Like that group of people is incredibly impacted right now, and people are like blaming them for it. And it's really saddens me to see it. These nice, you know, new up and coming salespeople, they're getting blamed for performance. And it's because a lot of their traditional sales leaders don't understand that the damn emails are in the spam folder. No one's pulling emails out of the spam folder to book meetings with your SDR team. But they're getting blamed for it anyways, and everybody I talk to, they're like, I don't know what to do. Nobody wants to help. So, you know, you got to build a yacht club.
I had that happen to me 2 weeks ago, actually.
What?
Somebody actually booked a meeting because so I went in their spam, but like it doesn't happen often because I actually check.
Very rare, yeah.
Yeah, I look at the deliverability and I look at where we're landing using certain tools. But then somebody said, "Oh, sorry for the late reply. For some reason, this landed in my spam." And then the next email after
that's
that,
bad because that means there's a lot more landing in spam.
Well, we checked and there wasn't that many. I guess that was one of them, but nonetheless, he ended up emailing me back, and then I sent him over some times, and then we booked a meeting. So I was like, whoa. Regardless,
Yeah,
pretty cool. Like that was pretty cool. But it doesn't happen often. I mean, that only happened to me once since I've been with Typing DNA.
only when it's a 6-figure deal and you're
so
or I actually had a CEO. He reached out to me and he had a huge problem where he's like, I don't know what to do. I've got my IT team. I've got everybody. My investors. He found me on LinkedIn, like, talking about it. Nobody wants to listen to me anymore. But he found the investors. He was getting his investors' emails were going into spam.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
I knew exactly what the problem was because I saw this happen at another company. I knew exactly. I told him what happened, and he went to his IT team and they confirmed it. It was, how marketing sends out a like a signature and they have you copy and paste it.
Yeah.
Every time it gets copy and pasted, usually it gets another link in it or more HTML code in it. So a bunch of companies have these like HTML like written like click tracking link open every single tracker in this thing, and it's so you could never
like
get
a
this link.
Spider web of
it's a spider web of links, of tracking links.
Yeah.
And when you go into the HR docs, this was the end of my journey in SaaS, but for not working for myself or not working for myself. But I didn't want to put it back on. I wasn't putting that. I was never going to put that signature back on. I did because I wanted to land in the inbox. I have why wouldn't I want to be heard, right? Like you have to, right? Why would you want to send emails to spam? That seems like that's a waste of my time and their time too. Their money. I mean, their money. It's the way it is.
It's funny because like I was talking to somebody in our marketing department and like we have a very minimalistic signature, very minimalistic, but it fits what we're trying to do because of the way like our font is and stuff. It's pretty cool. But I asked them, that's exactly what they told me.
I get so scared of this right now. You just told me you were in spam, and now you have a marketing team putting together your signature with a bunch of fonts and HTML. Like how badly do you want to miss your number next quarter, Eddie?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I might have said that. I might have miscommunicated that. What I'm trying to say is, like the way that they told us, because we're writing it manually inside, but we're using a specific font that's already embedded within Gmail. That's the same font that we use for the actual logo. Like it's the it's Courier New. So if you look at the actual logo we have, it's Courier New.
Yeah.
And we use that font. And funny enough, when we're writing it in there manually, like it's a very minimalistic thing. There's barely anything to it. So
isn't there a better way to brand your company than a networking protocol that's been around since the 60s? Like, I mean, I just don't understand why people want to like this is like a communication that people without color TVs were using. Why are we trying to stuff the friggin' get on social media and go raise havoc if you want to, but like keep your damn cold emails plain text. I mean, it's been around since the 60s. Like there wasn't even color, And
I don't do anything but plain text.
Like,
all my emails are plain text. Like I'll book like 5 meetings in a week, man, and then I'll get like this holy crap, like we're booking meetings, and then I don't know. I don't have any secret sauce. I just talk to people like I'm a human being, and it works, and they reply like a human being. That's all I do.
So if you're doing that actually works better because you're not. Are you using sequences?
No, I do everything. Everything is manual.
That's probably why. So sequences are really where you'll get into trouble right now because if you want to do sequences right, you want to use a bunch of different domain names in a bunch of different inboxes.
So remember I was saying on that post on Monday that I had 75 tasks. Out of those 75 tasks, I manually wrote 59 emails that day.
So it's funny, you're getting rewarded for your...
Yeah, I've got, and I literally booked the next day 5 meetings because of that. Like that's the thing, because they were getting into the inbox and they were replying because I'm writing them manually based on...
If you do it manually, you're have a way better shot. I mean, because
it was great.
Because they're unique. Okay.
And I always follow it by the readability or the readability, right? I will go back and see who's actually reading them. So I know that they've actually read it because it is being tracked technically, especially with the CRMs that we use, but I'm seeing that it is being read. So I mean, look, the one thing that I brought to, and this is something I was talking to Tim about using potential sequences, even small enough for things like GMAS, let's say, right? Because it's a pretty cool tool that you can use, but he told me straight up, he's like, do it manually. And I was a little confused at first. I'm like, why? He clarified it. He's like, just trust me, do it manually. We're going to get better results. You're also going to be more personal, et cetera, et cetera. And that was kind of me really embellishing the idea. And I started seeing the result myself. And I'm like, screw it. It's already working. Why change it? It's working.
Sequences are the worst right now.
Yeah.
They're the absolute worst. I mean, they're really good if you have 200 emails inboxes going at the same time from
Mhm.
different domains, but that's a whole nother world. Like most SDRs they'll bring somebody on and they won't have any limits on the sales loft or outreach settings. They won't even limit them, and one SDR will come in and dump 1,000 emails to an
crap.
entire contact database, and they're never going to go through it. Like the first 50, after that, they're dead.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah,
we're not doing that
I have
at
a
all.
question.
Yeah.
So for those people who are trying to bootstrap and like preserve cash, yet grow a business, what email strategies do you think are the most have the best return on investment?
Yeah. So email is definitely like for bootstrap founders, like
the best.
It is such a good. Like I know people talk, but the people who are saying it's not good, when I ask them their strategy, usually they go right into like programmatic ads, which cost a ton of money, or they go into organic like SEO, and I'm like, okay, fine, but that means you also have another 3. Like I do a lot of SEO, but it takes
a lot of time.
It's like you got to wait for Google to give you the, or you got to go like crazy on social media and make a stir and do something crazy, right? Like cold email, you're going one-to-one, communication. The other one is LinkedIn, obviously, the LinkedIn DMs.
Mm-hmm.
So everything everybody says about like pitch and selling or whatever, you should connect to people, and you'll get a 30% acceptance rate if you have a reasonable profile. And then probably, out of that, you'll get about half those people to respond if you message them.
Okay.
And you start a conversation. Like, don't be weird about it. And if you're a good salesperson, you'll know how to have a conversation with somebody.
I will definitely elaborate on that. So think about think about the tools that you have that are readily made available for you as a person who's trying to bootstrap. First and foremost, email, cold call are completely free, right? That's the first two. Third one, social media. There's a multitude of them. You can use LinkedIn, you could use Twitter, you could use Facebook, Instagram. That's the third one, right? And then there's tools to help you find people's information to do those things, right? You can go like the Apollos of the world. They give you up to like 155 emails per month that you could scrape and find that you can email. Yeah, for free. So all you have to do is go in the onboarding with Apollo, and they'll give you up to like 155 emails.
Amy, Apollo?
Yeah, so I used it a little bit at my last job for looking for companies to sell cloud migrations to. And I just kind of did some research on it, but it's really good because you can go in and like filter by like the year it's founded. And we know like the companies that are older are usually the ones that need to migrate. You can like filter by the company size. You can filter by location. And you can even like go in and look at their tech stack, which I thought that was the biggest one.
Technographics are wonderful.
Yeah. So like if you know their tech stack, like you're not going to waste your time asking people who already have AWS if they need AWS or not. So yeah, Apollo's, and it's nice. Like the price is like super reasonable compared to buying like lists. I think it was like $50 a month or something. Like it was something like crazy reasonable.
So is Apollo like a budget-friendly version of ZoomInfo?
Oh God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. And I think
Apollo's a lot like Apollo and Seamless.
Apollo and Seamless are quite similar. Another thing, Sarah, if you have a website, reach out to Jesse. He'll be able to give you that first. I always forget what the name of it is. How do you say it, Jesse?
First party data, like who's on your website. Yeah. Yeah.
So first party data on who's on your website, and that is gold because you may not see the unique visitor who's actually there, but you will see the company. And depending on the company's size, you may be able to hone in on who could have been there so that you can reach out, which will make your outreach facilitated. So, I mean, there are an abundance of ways for you to actually use free tools out there and use the free things that are made available to you, like your voice and your typing, to get business. Like it is nuts. When I first started EB3, zero funding. I just reached out to a couple of people and started getting customers in for coaching and consulting and sales. I never spent a buck on acquisition, $0 on acquisition. And it's just because I used everything at my disposal. So don't ever be afraid if you are bootstrapping yourself. Just remember, it's one of those, go back to the, not about what you don't have, but what you could have in this case, right?
Yeah,
keep that mindset that you also have a network like us around you. Just ask.
Glass is half full.
Yeah, glasses at home.
Amy brought up a really good point though on Apollo. Actually, so they've got even though like I don't really like meet because I do have like some data stuff that I do, but like Apollo has a really, really good searching. Their searching is so it's even better than Sales Navigator.
Nice.
Like the actual, and it almost looks like So I mean, if you look at the Sales Navigator one, they've actually made it look more like Apollo's now. Like if you look at like what's happening in there, like they've kind of added some of the stuff. It's kind of funny, but like Apollo is obviously probably using the same data, right? Like they're using public LinkedIn data, I'm sure. If you look at it, it's probably
They do. I'm pretty sure they use the API.
Yeah, I mean, there's no API on LinkedIn, but like
There isn't?
You can't. Yeah, so LinkedIn is known for. I guess we're on LinkedIn, so yeah.
Touche. Oh, and
Yeah.
Sarah, video also.
They're like known as a wall garden or whatever it is.
Ask Lauren about how she can use things like BombBomb. Like, I mean, I know about other tools.
Lauren has the video game down.
Yeah, you can use
like,
Vidyard
Nice.
for free.
and she's smart. She's doing it in LinkedIn, which is where you want to send through videos,
Right.
so
Okay.
they don't look like ASPCA commercials in your email. And
That's awesome.
that's Lauren's
Nice.
got it down.
And you can also get Lavender for free if you're starting
Yeah.
something new.
Yep.
The Lavender guys
Okay.
you can do that for free.
Will.
Just email Will.
Tons of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
there's like
so
a ton
many
of
things.
like resources, and I'm down to help anybody with Lavender or BombBomb whenever. I have an affiliate. link.
Awesome. Thank you.
And also, project management or productivity, get ClickUp Monday. They're free. Asana has a free version. Like everybody has a free version. Like when you're a startup, use what's at your disposal. Do some research, obviously. Like I could help you if you want one day. I've used, Jesse could probably be, maybe even trump me on that one, but I've used hundreds of different SaaS products as I was trying to teach about SaaS tax, mostly in sales. But there are, again, an abundance of tools that you could use. So,
100%.
you can literally run a business without any expense if you're doing everything online these days. It's just a matter of your time. That's what's expensive, right?
Yeah, it
That's
really
all
is.
it is.
Yeah,
I
if you
ran-
name a product, I can tell you what there's also a lot of like open source products out there that are
Yes.
really
Forgot to mention.
Okay.
like there's like
What are some of your favorite, Jesse?
so for sales type ones or for like which one are you?
Just
So
any-
I'll give you like blog or newsletter Ghost. It's
Go.
completely
Ghost
free.
is bomb.
They've bootstrapped a free. They're the prime example of like they're at like 5 million, and it's an open open source and it's free,
Whoa.
which is
did not know
incredible
that.
because that just tells you that all they do is they run the service for you for like $25 a month or whatever, and they're already.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it's a really good publishing platform because it does SEO and it does newsletters. So that's a really good one. If you need marketing automation, you don't want to use Marketo, or you don't want to like buy like all the, there's some low cost ones, but Mautic is the one that a lot of people use for like open source. If you don't want to buy Slack, you're like, I don't want to, I mean, that's not a huge expense, but Rocket Chat is the one a lot of people use for the Slack replacement. For help desk, it's called Free Scout. That's the one a lot of people use. Chatwoot is the one people use for Drift replacement.
Dropping knowledge.
There's a lot of them out there, and people have built really good open source. They're just not marketing them that much. You'd have to go look for them, right? There's like open source versions of every one of these products.
Sarah, do you also
thank
have
you.
any products that you're trying to sell, like digital products?
Yeah. So our first, our primary customer is manufacturing companies.
Okay.
And what we're trying to sell is workflow communication tools specifically for manufacturing to help solve the problems with trying to understand, are you going to get quality parts? When are you going to get them? What are all the steps along the way? Are you getting the data that you need?
So is there any tangible? Is it physical or is it digital?
It's digital.
Beautiful. So things like that. So tell me about the digital product then in this case.
So it's a SaaS platform.
Nice.
And it's meant for manufacturers. And a lot of manufacturing software sucks. Like it's super clunky. The cost of training, it's expensive. And what I want to do is try to disrupt that and create a collaboration tool for manufacturers and their suppliers so that they can communicate, pass data back and forth in a way that's a lot more efficient. Because let's face it, supply chain sucks today. And if you can prevent disruption with things you can control, it'll make it a lot easier to manage. And so the only way I know how to do that is through two things. One is project management. How do you make sure that every task has an owner and a date and you're able to track it and you know your risks? And the second is through data. And the only way you can do those two things is through software.
Agreed. Yeah, you do need a piece of software to track everything. Good point.
And I don't see a lot in my space that are simple and easy. And it's like in the SaaS space, I feel like there's a lot more lessons learned. And I don't think in the manufacturing environment or marketplace, they're leveraging that enough. So I appreciate engaging with all of you. So I feel like I can learn
engaging with Jesse,
and bringing it into that marketplace, you know, in the SaaS space. So,
well, if you are building, this is one of those scenarios though that you have to build before. Like it's different than a lot of the other SaaS products that are out there. Sometimes they're building in public and whatnot. I can see this as being more building in the dark first and then kind of building marketing and sales after the fact, because you do have to test some things. So
we've got customers and we're like in beta-ish now with our customers. So that's great.
That's
awesome.
But then like, how do you take that and figure out what to do next? And that's like, okay, how do I find customers 4, 5, 6, 7?
Well, easy. First and foremost, the ones that you're dealing with, are you getting a feedback loop or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we meet regularly.
So when I say that, are you getting anything in writing so that you can start using that for like viability and validation of the product?
Not yet, because I feel like it's still in development mode, right? Like it's feedback that's helping us refine what we're doing.
That's good. Well, as you're refining and you do have something that's just close to beta and again, anyone here can correct me, but when you're getting close to or out of beta, start collecting the reviews, start collecting that feedback or that testimonial and start building on that. Then that becomes some of your business and use cases in conversation with people that you want to get into as part of your ICP or your target audience and so forth. Because now you already know the space that you're in, but then you can also use those companies to get into conversations, right? Like we're currently working with XYZ within this market that's actually near you. We know that this is a viable product and our objective is to try and facilitate your XYZ by making sure you do have this product, right? Like it's giving you validation as your product goes towards to the person you're talking to. So that's why I'm saying collect those things and then use that as a marketing tool going into conversation and then build out your website with it.
Yeah. And I have to definitely iterate back.
Like for me, what happened was like, you want to be very careful at like, try to like solve one problem for one group in one spot, because like you can go really wide and where there's like, I'll send you some of the founders that are doing this, but like there's some founders that are like, I'll give you an example. There's a company, Instantly. So on Twitter, founders on there, and he's basically got a product that does the email rotation stuff that I was talking about earlier. And I mean, he knew the problem really well because he was sending a lot of cold emails himself. And he went out and basically built the product to basically send as many emails as you really wanted by using multiple inboxes, multiple domain names. And he's already at 60K in like 3 months, 4 months, a month. Wow. Right. He knew and like, remember, he's competing against Outreach.io. He's competing against SalesLoft. He's competing against Lemlist. He's competing against every single, he's competing against all these platforms that do sequences, but he knew how to solve that like one problem. Everyone knows you're in spam. So he knew how to solve that problem and he went and did it. And the only other way to do it really is like, there's 2 other vendors that kind of do it, but like, and his product isn't even that expensive, but he's already at, so like that one problem thing is like where I even failed some stuff. I was like, you just have to be very careful in the beginning.
It's hard.
Tighten it up.
It's hard when you know all the things and your vision is all the things.
Mm-hmm.
But to like pick that one specific problem that you solve. And I think from my standpoint, I'm an engineer, so I tend to be very like technical and also very process oriented. And I think about the product in terms of the process instead of the problem that it solves. And the problem could be process independent, right? As long as the problem is specific.
Have you looked at any of the so the guy's he's kind of an interesting guy on there, like his personality, but he is really good at communicating like go to market to like engineers. Have you ever seen the salesprocess.io guy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, take a look at it. He's got some pretty good documents out there on how to like build a go to market in a way where you'll I'll send you that. But I think he's done some pretty good. It's just, the hard part is there's a lot of arrogance there too in the his videos and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the challenges with him. But so people are kind of like turned off. I think that's part of the design though. But he does very well with like. I know like seamless.ai was with him, like he started with him, right? Like there's a lot of people who have started their SaaS journey with him. Or the other one is Winning by Design is very good at like.
Oh, I've
heard of that too.
Yeah. And he's just he's been a mentor to me. Jocko is just a really great guy.
Jocko, like the Jocko?
Yeah, I mean from Winning by Design, yeah, like
he's good, man.
I worked there for a little while as well, so I did some consulting for them as well. So
awesome!
Wow,
thank you for the suggestions.
Yeah, they're really good.
You got this.
But Jocko's just just the class and like the business that he runs and like the Dominic and the team that he has, like they're the best. I mean, they're the best SaaS consulting company in the world. Like it's not. I don't even think it's close. Like, his content, like he gives it away. He gives everything away. Everything he does, he just gives it away. And then he, obviously their business model is consulting, but like there's so many people who go through his content. They're like, this is friggin' brilliant. And that's how I found him. Like I found him way early, and then like I just been a fan of his for a while. Like so and then I worked over there for a little while as I was transitioning to build my own company, and I did some work for those guys, and I still talk to the whole team there, and it's just a great team. Winning by Design, just a great company.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I've been
Thank you so much.
lately. You guys should definitely Google them if you haven't heard of them. Winning by Design.
They are phenomenal.
And then Eric went. He went to the class over there. There's like they have a certification called Revenue Architecture. There's like that. Talk to Eric about it if you know him. The group there. He just did it. So it's like the course. And it's in the Revenue Pavilion. Sorry, he's in the Pavilion. Does the same thing. I think Jocko teaches it. I think.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yep.
So Amy, are you in sales?
I am, but I'm actually like in between jobs right now, taking a break. So
nice, good for you.
I'm
glad that you tuned into Whiskey Wednesday tonight.
Yeah, no, it's a learning opportunity. So always
when you need a recruiter, let me know.
Oh yeah, sure.
We got an awesome recruiter over here. She's the bomb.
Yeah,
I know. Dude, I'm sad that Tom dropped off. I was gonna tell we have something coming. I was gonna tell you guys about it, but I can't do it without Tom.
Oh
no.
Interesting.
Come on, Lauren, don't do that.
I dropped it in my post today, but I put it way down in there. You had to read the whole post.
Hold on, I'm going right now. Live baloney. Hold on a second.
Read the whole thing. Tom and I are dropping something next week. My birthday is Wednesday. We're gonna drop something next week.
What
happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
Jesse, your thing is coming in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
I need a picture of it.
You've got like 4 posts, so how do I know which one it is?
But I have 7 posts today. You're welcome.
Oh,
you got
what the
7
nuggets,
today? Holy moly.
Listen, sometimes I just have a lot to say. And I also post about jobs that I'm hiring for. So like I probably have 4 posts that are mine. And then 4 that are work or 3 that are work. So
if I were a recruiter on LinkedIn, I'd probably post 7 times too.
I post a ton, but that's fine. I've got a lot going on. I've got my series that I'm posting for 5 days in a row right now. And then I have my accountability group that I just started.
Okay.
So I'm posting for that every day.
Come on, where is it?
That's a lot of work.
That is a lot of
That's
work.
amazing. You're crushing it though, and I love how you're teaching other people to do it too. You're like lifting as you rise.
I'm trying. That's like I wouldn't be here without you guys.
Oh, come on.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I mean it, my title, my network is my network. If I can't do it, you guys can. Like, if I can't figure it out, I reach out to you guys. You guys make it happen for me. So you guys are really the real deal.
Sometimes it's nice to have that validation, you know, from people that you trust, friends who, you know, like have gone through similar experiences as you.
Yeah, I've been at this for a while.
Yep, 100%.
Eddie, I'm just gonna send you the post so you know which one.
I got it. I'm already reading it.
Okay.
I'm quick like that. Fast Eddie on the move. So here we go. All right.
All it says is that we're launching a side project. Tom says we might go live on Friday and show you guys a sneak peek.
As you said it, I saw hashtag side project.
Yeah.
I don't know what that
Tom and I
side
stayed up
is.
till like 3 o'clock in the morning the other night working on something. It was like we were both just burning the midnight oil doing our own stuff. And I was like, do you want to do this with me? I was like, I have this idea. Do you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And we just like went from there.
We literally there was a post I made a long time ago with Tom where I like did all these like he was using a snap camera or something to do all these different faces. We stayed up until like 1:30 in the morning to make that post, and he literally had done like 30 different things so I can screenshot. And then we stayed up the rest of the night making his banner for his LinkedIn. Like, forever. He's just an easy person to talk to. You know, it's the best.
I remember that conversation.
Oh,
I wasn't there in the details, but I remember you being like, "Oh, hey, I'll help you with your LinkedIn profile," and then wham, it was like totally different.
Me?
Yeah,
I do remember that actually. Man, I gotta tell you, I was I'm kind of gonna say this out loud. I didn't think I would say this out loud, but whatever. So there is one thing that I truly miss is having a lot of time in the past to be able to do a lot of those things. Like I loved helping people on LinkedIn, and I've helped a ton of people. And now with everything, especially with the new career, it's very, very time consuming because I'm doing like a bulk of this stuff, right? So I don't have as much time as I used to on LinkedIn, but
Eddie was one of those people. You were doing like 4 posts a day at one point.
I was doing like 3 to 4 posts a day. I was helping people, and like the things I had more free time because the career that I had before that, I had established my territory. Everything was done. Like it was almost like order taking instead of having to chase. So like I would hit budget without having to even try to hit budget. So
must be nice.
Well, it's because I put in like, and the thing is,
I know you
remember, but I grew the territory like 400% in 5 years because of a lot of hard work, and it was different types of sales. It was traveling type sales. So I was able to really just get the orders to come in, which was nice. I had more time that I could actually do this. And I was also scheduling a lot of posts. So I would do them at night and they would go out during the day. I wasn't really spending the entire day on LinkedIn. I'd actually work during the day and then sporadically look at my phone while I was working, and then lunchtime and stuff, and really go back in the comment game. But I mean,
I feel like it was also something that you had done for a long time. So because I've been doing this so like quick, I've been trying to just like, I'm almost trying to be like word vomit on your feed so that you see it so much that when I go down to 3, you're going to be like, oh, cool. It's just a little bit now.
I don't mind ever seeing it. I like when people do it. Like there's plenty of people on my feed that post at least 3 times a day, at least.
People who don't like it, scroll on. If you don't scroll on, I'm going to call you out. Like, don't be a troll.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, there's not a lot of people who post on LinkedIn. Like, we're not a lot of people in this community. Like, there's less than 1%.
Most of the people who post on LinkedIn are positive and like are posting for the right reason. Like every now and then you get somebody who's like,
today,
I don't know, being a day. I don't know. I can say
that person that wrote about what they wrote today concerning that thing about that email and the email suggestion. Yeah. That was just dumb as shit. Like,
well, there was one where I don't know if you guys know Gil, but Gil posted about watermelon and feta salad, and a guy wrote a whole poll about him.
Oh my God, that's funny. He said that I ate feta and watermelon that night. I was like, are you shitting me? So it's an Arabic thing that we do a lot back home. Like,
well, a guy literally wrote an entire LinkedIn poll about him, and like, dude, why? Just scroll past the damn picture if you don't want to look at the picture. Yeah. Move on.
That was the biggest coincidence of my life. My wife, like, I'm scrolling. I'm like, Like, babe, look at this. I'm literally finishing the plate and this picture pops up. I'm like, that just made my entire night. That was the best thing ever. Like, such cool. But I eat it differently, obviously, with pita bread. But
I think I'm gonna head out too. I gotta get up early tomorrow.
Thanks for joining us, Amy. Hope you can come back next week.
Thank you, Amy.
I'll see you soon.
All right, bye.
Well, I know Sarah is also tired. Oh, there she goes.
Bye.
All right, if you wanna, I'm gonna jet too. I guess everybody's gonna jet, or I have like an hour.
Good to go. Hey, just so you know, we should take this to Zoom so that we don't have to watch our language.
Yes,
There's a lot of effery. There's a lot of effery that wants to be said. So that's